Hi, welcome back to World of the Psychic.
Together we shall cast ourselves into the future.
Seen any aliens lately?
This is a part of America we never get to see.
Are you by chance referring to the legend of the Loch Ness Monster?
A ball of twine that weighs 19,000 pounds.
What is this, nerd porn?
It is about the Templar treasure, but it's also about other things, conspiracy theories, urban legends, and other myths that are true.
You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the
Travel
Oddities podcast. And welcome back to the Travel Oddities podcast. There's one thing that I like about dealing in the paranormal is it's Halloween 365 days a year, 24/7. And then when you think of places that are really haunted, one of the places that always comes to mind is the Biltmore Hotel in Providence, Rhode Island, which is among some of the top 10 most haunted places in Rhode Island, and we'll kind of touch on that a little bit. But
yes, the Biltmore Hotel might be one of the most haunted hotels in the world. Emphasis on the word might.
Might.
It's one of those things where it could just be a lot of tall tales told by locals to drum up tourism.
Right. And there might be a Motel 6 out there that's listening right now going, we're the most haunted. We said hotel, not motel.
True.
So there's a difference.
There is a difference.
Structurally, there's a difference.
We'll find the most haunted motel later on.
It might be that clown motel that we need to do a story on. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so YouTube is literally littered with videos of people experiencing paranormal activity at this hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of it.
Yes.
Hours and hours and hours. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, you can watch a whole lot of people getting some homemade jump scares on YouTube in reference to the Biltmore. Might be a fun waste of a day if you're inclined to do such a thing. So the story goes that one of the hotel's original financiers was a Satanist, Johann Lees Weisskopf, who used the completed hotel as a place for his rituals and sacrifices.
We've got a Satanist, we've got sacrifices, all things, all signs point to getting the piss scared out of you on a nightly basis at this point.
Absolutely. Okay, so Weisskopf was very unsettled about his plan for the hotel. It would be a venue through which to familiarize reticent Puritan New Englanders with the joys of Satanism.
The joys. Now, as a kid, I'll be honest with you, the first time I saw a Slayer album cover, being a Catholic boy growing up, you see a pentagram and you're like, Satanism was scary. I think Hollywood had a lot to do with making Satanism like this. It's like a stigmatized religion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as fearful of it now as I would have been 25 or 30 years ago. What would you say?
Agreed.
Because it's not to get too far off topic, but it's really about nature. I mean, there's a lot of, you're giving me that look. It is involved around worshiping Satan.
I think more importantly, it's involved around the self.
The self.
Doing what you want to do.
Being selfish.
At the expense of
me or you or the dog, the family pet or the chicken. So, yes.
The Biltmore finished construction in 1918. So we've got an old building. That's your second ingredient for
scary
stories.
Shit. Yes.
Okay, there was a chicken coop actually kept on the roof as a convenient place to draw animal sacrifices from. And the one that I like, hot springs in the basement for purification rituals, with rumors that they had occasionally filled them with blood for some other rituals.
Oh, I was reading further. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm down with some hot springs for purification. I don't know what I've yet to, I've done some hot springs before. You and I have done hot springs together as a group with a bunch of other people in Colorado. I'm not saying we'd win in together. It's not like sharing.
Why do you have to say things like that?
Well, it's not like we were in a hot tub together drinking champagne, dude.
You and I, we did hot tubbing together.
Well, we did some hot springs together, but I don't know about I don't know about hot, warm blood. I don't think I would wade in warm blood as a cleansing ritual.
No, not at all. Okay, and then finally, as part of that,
this is the best part for me.
The historically famous Bacanti girls who waitress nude in the Bacanti dining room area. It was also known as the Bacanti orgy pit, which was frequented by F. Scott Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong.
Which neither of which are here to dispute or defend themselves on these claims. Now, I do know that Louis Armstrong could blow a hell of a trumpet. I don't know how good he would be in an orgy pit, but an orgy pit within itself, to me, it sounds like there's a mixture of like sex and maybe battle. When I think of pits, I think of filth, dirt. There's nothing sensual about an orgy pit.
No, I would agree with that. Okay, so Johann Weisskopf was also allegedly tied to the mob, which, again, kind of 1920s era. It was pretty prolific, and especially if you're building huge hotels.
Right. When was Prohibition? The 1920s, 30s? Right around the Depression.
Right.
So the mob was very active. Like you said, if there was a hotel built, especially in the Rhode Island, the New England area, mob was definitely involved with that. So I would say allegedly is probably close to being pretty factual.
Okay, so speaking of Prohibition.
Okay.
The building was a hotspot during Prohibition, and there were more than a few people killed in the building to either keep their silence or because of some of the debauchery of people involved in the time, and the fact that it was an illegal activity, and illegal activities draw in scumbags.
Yes.
So, according to Ghosts of Providence, booze was free for law enforcement and high-ranking officials during Prohibition at the hotel, and there were a lot of deaths that were tied to law enforcement, actually.
Well, and the thing about it is, you mentioned dirtbags and the dregs of society. They're not going to heaven. So if they die, I mean, there's no vacancy. To me, there is no vacancy for which ghosts do not exist. I mean, you've got the worst of the worst people, alcohol, tragic death. There's what is that? That's
3 or 4?
3 or 4 different ingredients there. So far, this ghost story, this haunting is right on track, in my opinion.
Okay, so between 1920 and 1933, there were 6 police officers, according to the Ghost of Providence, 6 police officers implicated in 8 murders at the Biltmore. You had 1 governor implicated in at least 6 rapes and 1 murder, 1 mayor for 1 murder, and a cardinal for the murder of an 11-year-old prostitute that was drowned in a bathtub.
You know, I was mentioning something this morning on my way in. I did a little bit of a live video, just kind of giving an update of what we're going to be doing today a little bit, kind of touched on what we're going to be talking about. Catholics are so stigmatized. Would you agree or disagree? But we haven't done much.
Invented stigmata, bro.
Right. Wow. I had my Oprah's aha moment just then. Stigmatized, stigmata, Catholic, God. It's like the 666 degrees to Kevin Bacon. A cardinal, though? But, you know, you think about the cops being involved with murder. You think about the mayor or governor being...
Mayor and the governor
being involved with murder. At the time, the highest paid officials in town weren't your cops. They weren't your local government. They were being bought by the mob. So cops running rampant. I mean, I'm making $50 a week working the beat. And the mob says, we need this guy gone. Here's $1,000. You better believe I'm billy clubbing the shit out of somebody.
I have a general theory of douchebaggery. Mm-hmm. It's my belief that in any given population, you got 10% of the population total douchebags.
Right.
And a lot of those guys are drawn to power and money. Mm-hmm. So I think in any population of elite or powerful people, your percentage of douchebaggery is horribly skewed, you know, towards the opposite. Where it's hard to find 10% of the people that fall into that echelon of society, you know, the rich and powerful, that are not douchebags.
People die. A lot of people die.
Okay, so there are the people that were murdered are supposedly among the population of ghosts that haunt the Biltmore, along with other victims of other crimes and sacrifices, or people who were killed by lesser important individuals.
So take that, Motel 6. I'm sorry that you've had 6 prostitutes die in room 69, but the Biltmore, it sounds like the Biltmore is like a Ghostbusters paradise at this point. So sorry, Motel 6, you're on the honorable mentions of most haunted motels in the country.
I think if you have a motel in the middle of nowhere, more than likely you've had a prostitute folded up and put into a suitcase.
I mean, how many times have you been to not necessarily a remote location, but stayed in a cheap motel, kind of surveyed the area and went, okay, that dude he's up to, there's nobody takes the carpet out at 12 o'clock in the morning.
There aren't any golf courses around here. Why do you have a giant golf bag?
Why do you have a golf bag? And who carries multiple trash bags that leak blood to their car? Anyway, but yeah.
Okay, so nightly after the bars close, people staying there hear raucous drinking, dancing, talking, and laughing. And there have been guests at the hotel recently who've just disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. It's been as recent as the last few years.
Right.
So.
And there are some stories. So,
yeah, we'll get into that.
Ghost hunters Ed and Lorraine Warren concluded that the spirit that haunts the hotel was Bethesda Sherman, a Satanist who lived there in the early 19th century and murdered her own daughter as a sacrifice to Lucifer. She later hanged herself, according to satanic rituals, so she could stay on the property.
Makes sense. My only question is, every good ghost story never involves grandma passed away peacefully in her sleep. It's always something, and that's what lends credence to hauntings. It's always, if you've ever seen The Grudge, they talk about hauntings being, the typical haunting is people that die violently, people that die sometimes unexpectedly, and that are trapped in between this dimension and that, or however you view that ghosts exist or don't exist. So this, I mean, it's just one extreme after the next extreme after the next extreme here. I'm not staying at the Biltmore.
I would totally stay at the Biltmore.
Okay, I'll stay if you stay.
We're not staying in the same room together. Dude, would you stop?
I immediately went to the scene. Plain Strangers on Automobiles. Those aren't pillows.
No. Not happening, bro.
Those aren't pillows.
But back to your ghost theory about it. If it's true, if they're a ghost, again, it's not something that I've had
much experience with.
But if ghosts leave something behind, or if the death of somebody leaves something behind, it could just be that the extreme nature of the deaths of some people is supercharged by that event, where everybody that dies leaves something behind that has some sort of impact. But the ones that, are extreme have an ability to manifest themselves.
And I think, and this isn't, I'm somebody that's had some experience that I can't explain. I'm not a skeptic by any, this is, when you and I have talked about this. This is an area that we deal with that I'm a little bit more
scared of
because there have been things that I can't necessarily explain that have still stuck in the recesses of my mind that I still remember. But I also think it's the same time, if you have a vivid imagination, you see, like if you tell me they were beaten to death with baseball bats, so I'm already playing that. It's already in that movie is already playing. So when you say room 13, there was blood all over the wall, there was this, there was that, I've already determined that this room is scary. So I think a lot of it may be in our psyche a little bit. Not to say that it doesn't happen, because we haven't been there. We don't know what people experience. And again, we'll get into those stories later, but I just think, I don't know. I think the more extreme the death, the more believable that something like this could occur. And I guess that's in the simplest way I could put it, because I don't really have an articulate way to explain what I'm saying, but
I understand what you're saying. For me, I just want somebody to explain the mechanism.
The science. Give me something scientific even.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. Or just something that I can
touch, feel?
Not even that. Just something I can kind of get my head around that, that I can draw conclusions from on my own.
Right.
But there seems to be this gap between the ghost and the death, and there's not a universally agreed upon how do you get from point A to point B.
Right.
And B, there's not one that I've heard that's very convincing.
Well, and it even goes to the stories. From one person, it's hung themselves and this. The other person was, well, I heard this. Well, you know what I mean? There's not even a historically accurate way to describe what happened outside of the event, like the paranormal event. You know what I mean? So you've got different perspectives. We kind of, one person will say, well, something touched my arm. The other person says that something touched my foot, and nobody can agree on what exactly happened. The only thing we can agree on is something did happen. We can't explain what it was. And that's the part that's the most interesting is we can agree that it's creepy. Regardless of why it's creepy. So.
Okay. So just continuing on, we've got Providence's modern day Satanist, which again, we've discussed in the past. There's probably 15 guys in Rhode Island that classify themselves as legitimately as Satanist. It's a very small organization overall. The Satan Worshippers Society.
They're relatively harmless looking, at least some of them here. At least our local Satanists seem pretty harmless.
I just not, for the most part, I don't buy it. If you tell me you're a Satanist, I think you're a goth kid that just hadn't got past it yet, or you're looking to,
I'm a Satanist to get a reaction.
Exactly. So I personally don't think that I've ever met anyone that is a Satanist that legitimately is a Satanist.
I think my definition of a modern day Satanist is a Satanist on one of those hoverboards. That's not really a hoverboard or a Segway. That's what what's a modern day Satanist? How would you describe a modern day Satanist? You drive an Uber when you're not worshiping the devil actively. You have 1,000 followers on Twitter.
It's just that they're alive right now.
Oh, okay. They're in the modern day.
Right.
Okay.
So the modern day Satanists like to point out that the disappearances only began after new management took over the Biltmore's day-to-day operations and cleaning the place up for tourists and businessmen, forbidding their maids and blood sacrifices, reupholstering the stained velvet seating in the Bacanti room, and tearing down the chicken coops. They claim that it was, in fact, the Satanism that kept the ghosts at bay and protected the living. The current owners will allow no experimentation, so it remains a mystery at this time, or an unanswered question.
I don't know if you watch American Horror Story at all, but the last season, Hotel, seems like it might have drawn some inspiration from this and maybe movies like 13 Ghosts, things like that. But this is very American Horror Story-esque about reupholstering and because there's like the ghost of a cleaning lady at the hotel that her job is to go around and clean up the blood and clean up the dead bodies and make sure that the ghosts have everything that they need and stuff like that. So it made me think about it. So if you get a chance, watch this last season of American Horror Story, but don't do it with anyone that's under the age of 18.
Okay, so getting into or touching base on the disappearances. In 2008, Irving F. Bishop, 42, and his daughter Emily Bishop, 4, tourists from New Jersey, disappeared sometime between 11 p.m. on Saturday, November 15th, and 4 a.m. on Sunday the 16th. Apparently, the girl couldn't go to sleep, so her father took her on a walk around the hotel. Joanne Noonan Bishop, the girl's mother, fell asleep just after they had left, and by the time she started awake at 3:50 a.m., they had disappeared.
Okay, 2008. Even in 2016, if I can't sleep, melatonin, Benadryl, perhaps. What does Bill Cosby use? He uses wine and Benadryl to help people fall asleep. A walk around a creepy hotel is not going to do it.
I'm going to have to disagree, man.
Really?
Yeah. I think I've raised like 117 kids now.
You have.
And one of them, Cassidy, I used to have to walk around a circle around my couch.
Oh, really?
And pat her on the back and sing Beatles songs to her. Literally no other songs would work for her to fall asleep.
But the couch, not like a hotel that, you've got people that's, it's, like I said, it's the freaking ecto wet dream.
Well, Connor, I had to drive in my car.
Oh, yeah, I've done that for hours.
So walking around,
okay, I get it.
Out, I could see it.
But if you thought there were ghosts and ghouls, would you do it?
You got to think 99% of the people that go to that hotel
don't think about that kind of stuff.
Doesn't even.
Are you?
Well, it's not like it says 90%. I'm going to say 90% of the people that stay at the Biltmore Hotel in Rhode Island, it never even crosses their mind. It's not like the billboard out front says the haunted.
Well, I know, but put Biltmore Hotel in Rhode Island in when you did the Google search.
The Google search?
What was it wasn't come stay at our hotel. I guarantee if we did it right now, there'd be paranormal, Biltmore Hotel, rooms available. I promise.
No, it starts off with Travelocity and kayak.com and TripAdvisor. Because those are all sponsored ads. You gotta scroll down.
I know. You gotta go through the corporate mumbo jumbo to get to the scary shit.
Most people don't.
But what I'm saying is, I think your percentage might be a little bit skewed.
Maybe a little.
I would say 75% of the people that stay there.
Okay, and that's fine. That still means that
there's over 320 rooms in the joint, so
3 out of 4 people it doesn't even enter into their mind that this place is supposed to be haunted. So going for a walk down the hallway I've done it myself.
Would you do it?
If I go to a big hotel, I normally go.
Would you walk down the hallway in the Overlook Hotel?
No.
Okay. Would you stay in room 213? Even after Mr. Halloran told you not to go in there?
No, I'm out.
Anyway, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying I think 90% is probably a little. You might be fooling yourself a little bit at 90%. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so Taps has done a show on the Biltmore.
Bullshit. Anyway.
Why are we calling bullshit?
Taps, they got busted for staging events on TV.
Yeah. I think that just seriously goes back to you're going to have a producer on that. We've discussed this. You're going to have a producer and he's always going to say, this is where we're going to throw in a commercial break. There has to be a reason for people to come back to the show.
Right. Or we've been filming for literally 48 hours and we haven't seen a chair move. Can we get an intern to get a chair to move, please?
Somebody tie some dental floss to that chair.
Yeah, exactly. So more to the point, there have been some, actual stories not within the last, 100 years, but within the last few years. So, people are seeing things. People are
having experiences
and hitting the internet with it.
Absolutely.
So, Lori Kay, she says that my boyfriend and I staying in room 1233 on 623. We heard the stories, but never expected to have anything happen to us. We went to sleep at approximately 9:30 because we had an early rise for Johnson and Wales. I was asleep and out of nowhere there was something walking above my head on the pillow, like a dog slowly stepping. It came around me and then over me. I slowly crept to my boyfriend's corner of the bed and jumped off. I heard its nails on the bathroom tile. During the experience, I couldn't move. Tried to yell my boyfriend's name and nothing came out. Once it was gone, I turned to him and yelled his name, but he was out cold. I woke him and he asked if he felt anything. Sorry. He was aggravated that I asked and woke him up. Finally fell back asleep. At approximately 5 a.m., we woke at 6:15. That was at approximately 5 a.m. when they finally fell back asleep. So at 6:15, she says she told him what happened to her. Of course, he's a skeptic, so she didn't think she would believe her. He stared at her, and as she told him that whatever it was just stopped creeping up and down the bed between us. He said it lasted almost a half hour. He couldn't move. He is no longer a skeptic, according to her. They both can't stop thinking about it. They love the hotel, was looking forward to visiting their daughter and staying there, but now they're afraid of what might happen. So I don't think they're going back, but they enjoyed their stay.
I don't know if being unable to move while something crawls up and down you is an enjoyable stay.
When you're doing the review, how many stars do you give
it? None?
Based on, the continental breakfast was great, but the part where the ghost dog crawled across my pillow was a little unnerving.
Well, it crawled across your pillow, and then you were paralyzed.
And couldn't yell, and
right. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, so I think you give it at least a solid 3 stars.
Okay,
just based on their continental breakfast, probably.
So Annie, I believe, is the way this next person's name is supposed to be pronounced, says, I was there for 2 weeks on a job with a crew of 50. I could not sleep and woke up every night at 3 a.m. Then I had what I thought was a dream, a woman pressing on top of me. I freaked out, dialed my coworker sleeping on the upper levels, and slept in her room the rest of the weeks. This place is haunted! ! At
this point, are you staying there? You're still staying.
I'm still staying.
I'm the guy that's going, okay, I understand you've got rooms available, but do you have the room? Like, is there one room in particular that's the most haunted? Give me that one.
I didn't see anything that would lead me to believe that. Mm-hmm. These people are all over, and when they mention room numbers.
So there's no room 213.
Right.
I wonder if it has 13 floors.
I don't know.
Huh. It'd be interesting if it skips from 11 or 12 to 14 or stops at 12. There are some hotels in Vegas that stop at 12 and skip to 14.
Mm-hmm.
So Prop Girl April. Prop Girl. Sorry, I was about to read a date, which is irrelevant here. Prop Girl. She says, oh my goodness, I've been here since Monday, and I had a nightmare that something was pressing down on me. I was suffocating in my dream and woke up completely gasping for air. It was room 906. Thank you for that. I switched rooms right after. So give me room 906.
That's 2 instances. Well, really, all 3 of them where somebody
has been pressing down.
Something's, yeah.
And there's like a paralyzation that takes place.
Okay, so Sarita Moldovan said, wow, I only got this page because of my experience, or to this page because of my experience at the hotel. I woke up initially at 1:15 a.m. because something touched my eyelid. I closed my eyes and put my head back on the pillow again. Instantly something touched my eyes again. I freaked out, turned the light on, and finally fell asleep. Then I woke up at 3 something in the morning with what felt like a man pressing down on me. I could not move, breathe, or open my eyes. I finally let out a scary screeching sound that woke up my husband, who was on the other end of the king-size bed. I made him move right next to me because that was the only way I could get comfortable, and I didn't sleep the rest of the night.
Not that you care, but I'm not a submissive type. So far, we're 4 for 4 on being pressed upon.
Yes.
I'm used to dog. Here's the thing. I have 3 dogs that live inside. We've all heard the horror stories that I experience. So dogs walking across the pillow, I could be dreaming that I'm at home. Listening to the click, clack, clack on the tile, I hear it on my laminate floor. So it echoes in my brain 24/7. But something pressing down on me, being that paralyzation, that ghost paralysis, I'm done at that point. Ghost dogs, give me ghost dogs. Give me give me the dogs from Ghostbusters, for crying out loud.
The Hellhounds?
The Hellhounds. Gozer. Give me Gozer. But I'm not submitting to you.
All right.
I shall not submit.
So, what does Dylan have to say?
Oh, Dylan, he said, I stayed in room 833 last Wednesday night and had never heard of the Biltmore being haunted. I did have an unusual experience before I went to bed. I shut the security lock, the one that's the long piece of metal above the regular locks. In the morning, when I was leaving to get my coffee, I noticed that the lock was open. Thinking I may have just forgotten, I didn't think much of it. When I got back to the room, I closed the door and made sure I shut the security lock before taking my shower. When I got out of the shower, I checked the door, and sure enough, it was open. I will not be going back. Again, so room 902 or whatever isn't open. How about room 833?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That one...
That's easy to... we do stuff, the regular stuff. Like, I think when it's something you're not used to doing all the time, like closing that security lock, it'd be something to easily forget.
Or it could just be that it's mounted a little off and well oiled, and the thing just falls open.
Okay, I mean, I'll go with that.
I
think either there's a number of different things. This one is a little less and more like what was I thinking?
Right?
Maybe I don't know.
Okay, so the next one was from Anonymous. I swear to all of you that I stayed there in June of 2001 for 6 nights, and there was a ghost in my room. I saw her image twice and freaked out. When I checked out, the front desk clerk informed me that I was not the first person to see a ghost in the hotel. It was really scary. I never believe people when they tell me they see ghosts, but after that experience, I am now a believer.
Okay. You wrote something anonymously. Make something up.
True.
I mean,
the next one, the one that I think they did, they did that, or maybe they just have really off the wall parents,
or they have a interesting flavor palette.
Maybe.
So Cheese Muffin stayed at the Providence Biltmore for 1 night and will not be going back. There was a rumor that the 16th floor was haunted, so me and my friend went up there to investigate.
That should answer your question about how many floors, by the way.
There you go. When we got up there, I heard giggling, and I swear I saw a ghost whiz by. Definitely haunted. 16th floor. I mean, we have a hotel. I mean, I'm not trying to be local here, but the Skirvin, I believe, isn't their 16th floor we went to and kind of did a little bit of skulking around. I'll stay in a haunted hotel. I'm not scared. It's a subconscious thing. I think we have an ability to make things, if we turned the lights off right now and sat here long enough, even though you're colorblind, as your eyes are adjusting to, you have mutant powers. So your eyes, like like when you shine a light on a animal at night, that's what your eyes do. And there's like this shutter effect. It's like click, click, click. But as your eyes adjust to the darkness, you have, ghost images of things that you saw before you turned the lights off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then those images start to shift and move as the muscles in your eyes relax. I think we have a tendency, we want to be scared. I think as a society, we say we don't want to be, but I think there's that need, that the same as, people they're thrill seekers. Mm-hmm. We want to be scared. We want it to be real. We want it to happen to us. And when it doesn't, it challenges our beliefs.
Right.
And I think we want things so badly. And I think in some cases with the door locking thing, I think that was a situation where, he wanted to be a part of the conversation, probably wasn't anything. Some of these, though, are really consistent. I don't think they got together and said, hey, by the way, mention that you were being
pressed down
upon. And then throw in a dog story or something that kind of mixes it up and then get back to me. I don't think there's like it's good for publicity. I think it sells some hotel rooms, but.
All right, so Biltmore 543 said, I stayed there over the weekend, and I'm 100% serious that I heard moaning and loud bumps in room 543. Now, there was a reply to that one. It said, from Mr. Hold'em, said that was me and my girlfriend in 542.
Okay, I like that. Now, the only thing I will say, the one thing, if you're going to try to make me believe that, unless these two were working together, so there was some in cahoots going. If you want to make me believe that the hotel is haunted, don't be the guy that's Biltmore 543.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing says corporate office like Biltmore 543. Come stay at our haunted hotel.
Yeah.
So we've got another anonymous. I don't think it's the hacking group, but they stayed here for work training in April of 2014. My room was on the 16th floor, another 16th floor story. Trust me, the place is thoroughly haunted. The experiences I had were truly terrifying. I will never return under any circumstances. So we've got 2 stories from the 16th floor, which, again, depending on where they are, I'm trying not to be the guy that's going, maybe they read something up here and they're going, oh, yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, probably, maybe not. Who knows? In a hotel that's haunted all over, there's no way to know for sure until, there's not very many reviews here for.
Well, from the skeptical side of things, I did, and again, I couldn't find, the author who, debunks hauntings or anything like that. Anybody following along those lines, but I did find a comment, with the same group of people telling their haunted stories. And George F. says, "This is all a crock. I've been reading this and very anxiously anticipated staying there over the past weekend. As a cynic, I was desperately hoping for something. Never happened. My findings, nothing. I spoke to every staff member I could find. They all laughed. This is a running joke with them. We were in room 820 and did some poking around. Nothing. It's an old and creaky hotel with noisy pipes and walls that allow sound to carry." So, according to him, it's pure fiction, and he wasn't even impressed with the historical details of the hotel.
Well, and kind of more to the point of Rhode Island, the Biltmore isn't just the only paranormal hotbed in Rhode Island. There's, I did a little bit of research. There's University Hall at Brown University. The Rhode Island School of Design is most notably haunted, and more notably would be the Conjuring House from the movie The Conjuring, directed by James Wan. I don't know if you've ever seen The Conjuring, the first one, based on the Ed and Lorraine stories and ghost investigations. There have been some charges that Ed and Lorraine falsified a lot of things and staged a lot of things and maybe weren't as on the up and up with a lot of their investigations. So it's hard to say. I think when you make a movie about a house and it's based on a true story, I think that tends to perpetuate the haunting even more.
Right. So
the fact that I've really never heard much about the Biltmore, unless it's been on Taps or Ghost Hunters. George, he basically lambasted everybody for saying anything. I don't think that the staff would laugh it off. I think if they're smart, they would put their best, ooh face on. And
well, and again, back to the hotel in downtown Oklahoma City, the Skirvin Hotel. Yeah. We talked to some people about their haunting experiences there, and it's my opinion that it's kind of probably one of those built up, histories that doesn't have a lot of fact to back it up. But if you hear somebody talk about it now, it's a real juicy story with lots of details.
It's a fish story. And
the historical aspect of it isn't there.
Right.
But if you talk to the people at the hotel, there's not people laughing, so I don't.
But they also don't, and much to my surprise, they don't really promote it as.
No, not at all.
At all. They've got the reports. I'm sure it's reviewed as such online, just similarly to the Biltmore. Not everybody sees it, but I think you also, in situations where there are ghost and paranormal involvement, you have to be open. Again, that sounds so cliche to say, but you have to be open to those possibilities. If you're closed off to it, chances are likely, and again, it's theater of the mind. It could be something that we create. We manifest, everybody likes a good ghost story. It's whether or not we take it to the next level. If it's a great story, but maybe not, in fact, not real. Because when you think about ghosts in general, just the idea that something can move this, or something can have a disembodied voice, or manifest itself in the back of a family photo, the idea of that just seems unrealistic. It seems like there's a scientific explanation for it, but we haven't got there yet. We've got a bunch of amateur scientists with, heat reading mechanisms and ghost voice boxes trying to either create or debunk and not really, I don't know. Again, this is probably when we get into the haunting stuff, because it's something that's unseen, relatively unseen. I say relatively unseen. I don't mean unseen by like most people, but it's something that it's an intangible. Everyone wants the intangibles. They want something they can't. But I'm one of those, and you're the same way. If I can touch it, taste it, smell it. If it's a duck, if it quacks, it's a duck, right?
Right.
So.
Or a ghost duck.
Or a ghost duck. So, that's kind of where I'm at.
Be warned. It is my job to arm you against the foulest creatures known to wizard kind. You may find yourselves facing your worst fears in this room. Know only that no harm can befall you whilst I am here. I must ask you not to scream.
So,
yes.
The Ghostbusters. That's the only thing I can come up with. Like a true life Ghostbusters team to go in there. But what do you have?
Geomancy.
Geomancy?
Yes. So you want to defend yourself against some paranormal entities. Apparently a way to do that is through geomancy. So geomancers claim to study the Earth's energies and the things which facilitate or hinder their flow. In some cases, they attribute poltergeist phenomenon to disruption in the Earth's energies. This can have many causes, ranging from recent extension work on your home to the construction of a major road nearby. A geomancer may be able to make recommendations about what can restore harmony in the local environment.
For a small fee.
I'm sure there's a small fee.
Right. It's like, I'll be your spirit guide for $1,000 per hour. Okay, thank you. Can I get a free medicine man? Can I get an Indian medicine man like in Poltergeist? I think he was free. Geomancers, I thought, so what did they do? Sit up on a mountain and do shrooms until somebody calls and says, we need balance to the earth. Isn't that what the Transformers are for? To defeat the Decepticons? But, geomancy. I have never heard of geomancy.
Yeah, you're an earth wizard.
An earth wizard. Okay. So, I don't know. You're like a tree herder. I don't know what a geomancer. Now I know what a geomancer is. I thought a geomancer is somebody that loved geography.
You're a Brettmancer.
I am a Brettmancer.
So you can control Brett.
I can control Brett.
Not very well.
No. Not very well.
Okay, so the town of Providence and some things to do in and around Providence. So Providence is the capital and most populous city in Rhode Island, founded in 1636. It is one of the oldest cities in the United States, located in Providence County, third largest city in the New England region after Boston and Worcester.
Wait.
What?
It's Worcester.
Sorry. I should have let you read this.
Gloucester.
Okay, so Providence has a population of about 180,000, 38th largest metropolitan population in the country, and the population of Rhode Island is about 1.6 million, so it's a little over 10% of the total population of Rhode Island live in Providence.
Interesting fact.
Yes, that is an interesting fact. Did you have a different interesting fact?
Well, I've got a few, but only when you give me permission. I've just got a few interesting facts about Rhode Island.
Hit me with the interesting facts about Rhode Island.
I bet you didn't know this. The only nuclear explosion to ever happen in the U.S. outside of a controlled environment happened in Wood River, Rhode Island, in 1964 when a worker at United Nuclear Corporation Recovery Systems mistakenly put too much uranium solution in a tank, resulting in an explosion as well as their death. The worker was the only casualty. Again, don't hire temps to work at the nuclear plant, right?
Sure. Makes sense to me.
Okay, here's one for you. Block Island in Rhode Island. It's another one of the most haunted places in Rhode Island, by the way. Has its very own ghost ship, which has been haunting islanders ever since a deadly wreck there in 1738. Some say the passengers and crew seek revenge against locals who failed to help them as the boat went down. Sounds a little bit like the movie The Mist.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when the crew comes back to town, the ghost falls in love with the girl and takes her back to their misty love shack or whatever. Sounds a lot like The Mist. Number 3, Mr. Potato Head was named as the official family travel ambassador of Rhode Island in 2000. It makes sense with Hasbro's headquarters located in Pawtucket. Interesting fact, I made a Transformer reference, unbeknownst that Hasbro is in Rhode Island.
I see.
So another interesting fact.
Yes.
Number 4, we got just a couple more. The state of Rhode Island can still technically fine a company for making certain employees work on Sunday. Now, unfortunately for weekend warriors, it's only a fine for unnecessary work that's done, and it's only like a $10 fine. It just seems like they're trying to nickel and dime you here. $10, you're going to spend more in gas depending on how far you live on the island than you would to pay for the fine. Now, something we grew up with that's illegal today. Buying your kid a toy gun in Rhode Island? Cap guns are illegal in Rhode Island. Cap guns.
That's un-American.
Dude, remember the round caps?
Mm-hmm.
Or the paper caps?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me you didn't light those with a lighter and let them go pop, pop. They didn't pop loud. It was just a little bit of a...
Right.
You did that.
Absolutely. That's incredibly un-American. I think Rhode Island is too close to Canada, and the Canadians are influencing them.
Now, I normally do a law, and I haven't really found anything that's, but maybe this is close. No, it's not. It's not close. I will say this, that Rhode Island is not zombie friendly. There's actually a statewide law against biting off another person's leg. So that is kind of a legal thing. And you thought this was a free country. I mean, you can't bite someone's leg off in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean,
well, I mean, you know,
it is what it is.
I kind of feel like
you're encroaching on my freedoms, man.
A little bit.
Now I can't have an AR-15.
Can't have a cap gun.
I can't have a cap gun. I can't open carry, and I can't bite someone's leg off. What's next? My health care?
Diet Dr. Pepper.
Diet Dr. Pepper? Oh, okay. So that's all I had for my little...
All right, so getting into then our place to eat in the area. Found a good one. They've got over 200 reviews with a 5-star rating.
Really?
Yes.
That's seemingly unheard of.
Right. They're at 5 stars, not 4.98, so 5 stars.
Not only are they good, but their clients, they do the surveys and they do the reviews.
So it's called Inoteca Umberto. It's an Italian restaurant on Atwells Avenue in Providence. Open from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. Everything on their menu looks incredible, but I'm big into Italian food. But one of the things that kind of jumped out at me, bruschetta with prosciutto and sun-dried figs.
I'm there, man. You had me at sun-dried figs.
Yeah. And then one of the other things that kind of jumped out was the mozzarella arugula salad with lemon and olive oil.
I had Italian food last night. I highly recommend a place called Othello's, if you get a chance. Looking for a good Italian restaurant that I didn't give you last time. I gave you a piss poor. I gave you hipster Italian last time.
Yes, you did.
Craft beer and craft lasagna. As always, if you want to find us, find out more about us, we're at Facebook.
Travel Oddities Podcast.
Travel Oddities Podcast. Twitter, Travel Oddities Podcast.
That's
and,
travel
_Oddities Podcast on Twitter and on Instagram.
Right.
And we're on Pinterest. Is it Travel Oddities Podcast?
Travel Oddities P.
Travel Oddities P at Pinterest. So for you ladies out there, I'm just kidding. Check us out on Pinterest. As always, it's the Travel Oddities Podcast. I'm Brett.
And I'm Harley.
Peace.
Peace.